And now it's time for the session with the best title of the day. Adam Parry ate my hamster. He ate yours as well. So welcome to the Ingo Theatre. Ask questions at pigeonhole.at, please, and I'll make sure they get answered later. Really interested to hear more about PR at events. So it's something we don't always hear a lot about. Over to you, Paul. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Are we on? Good afternoon, and thanks for coming. This is a bit of the graveyard shift, and it's nice to see so many people have arrived and made it to the theatre. My name's Paul Richardson. I work for a PR company called Vividink PR. We're an events industry PR agency, and we have been around for quite a while. And I've known Adam Parry a long time, and did he eat my hamster? No, my hamster's still here, safe and sound for anybody that might be worried about animal rights. But this is the kind of headline you can get with an Adam Parry ate my hamster story. None of this is really going to be relevant to event PR. This is more sensationalist. It's the kind of thing that people think PR is all about, grabbing the headlines on newspapers. But it's not. What is public relations? What is it? What is PR, and how does it relate to you? Well, there are some things. Let's clear up a few mysteries to start with. It isn't this. Eddie and Patsy, it isn't PR. We don't get bolly stolly on a daily basis, and most of us are coherent still at 3 o'clock. Nor is it this, although I have been known to go Malcolm Tucker every now and again on a few clients. What it is, it's the definition of the Chartered Institute of PR is it's the discipline which looks after reputation with the aim of earning understanding and support and influencing opinion and behaviour. Essentially, it's a tool for getting people to act and behave in a way you want. And how is that appropriate to what we're talking about here? How can you use PR in your day-to-day activities in marketing in the digital universe? Once upon a time, we were very fortunate. Publishers used to produce these for us. Every month, they'd chop down half a forest, print a few of these, send them out to people, people would buy them. The trade press were out on a monthly basis. We're now seeing print decline. Print is a more and more rare medium. A lot of the industry press that you'll see in this environment are down to quarterly issues. They are less and less frequent. But in 1991, this chap unleashed heaven for PR. The World Wide Web was kicked off, and down the line, this happened. The appearance of the news monsters, the beasts that eat news with a voracious appetite. And I'm talking about these things. News portals. In the days of monthly magazines, they were the kings. They held the editorial space. They were the people that determined whether your news, your feature articles, what it was you wanted to get in front of your audience got covered. So they had the whip hand. It was limited space. It was a rare commodity. As soon as ever you build these, the expectation changes. Your readership's expectation changes. People are looking at news portals for daily content updates, hourly content updates in some cases. They built themselves e-newsletters where they sent the news content and information out to your device where you choose to take your news. They created this massive rod for their own back. They have to feed this monster. So enter the opportunity for everybody in the industry to think about how to use PR and on the digital side. This is an opportunity waiting for you. A quick example, if we place an ad in a magazine, we would pay £1,000, £1,500 for a placement, depending on size and things. So let's say a full page, let's say it costs £1,000. That's one print ad in one issue that has one publication circulation. So you've already started to narrow your field of view. As an example, if you're putting out a news release and you're sending it in digital format to multiple platforms, one story, 3 hits in the press. 3 industry news portals picked up the story. They took that story and they amplified it out on their news their newsletters and their outbound comms. And it gets better. If the right story hits at the right time, this is one for Evolution Dome, and this got 5 pickups. And bearing in mind your ad spend, if your ad spend is £1,000 a month, you've spent your ad on your one insertion. This is just one release. You might be able to put out 2, 3, maybe 4 news releases. So when you're thinking about, let's say it's 3 news releases go out, each one gets a 5 pickup. That's 15 pieces of news in the ether circulating. Your opportunities to see suddenly ramp up to the tens and hundreds of thousands. So it's a mechanism of getting your message in front of all of those people at a relatively low cost for impact. And key to all this are people like him. And you know, he didn't need him, there he is. These are your allies. Journalists are your friends. They're not people to be frightened of. You can talk to them. You'll see Adam walking around here. You can grab him and have a chat to him about a story. And if he's sufficiently interested, he might pick it up, follow it up with you. It might be a feature piece later down the line. But journalists are your allies. They are keen to take information out to their readership that their readership will benefit from. So it's the down the line piece where people are looking, saying, how do I get better content into my readership? Because for the editor's point of view, the more readers read it, the more bigger circulation they got, the better opportunity they've got to sell ad space to those people who are doing banner ads, tile ads and things like that within that news coverage. So you're helping the editor. They are your allies. They are friendly. They don't bite. They're advocates as well. Because when you send something, if we look at the difference between advertising and PR, you place an ad in there and the ad says, we're the best thing since sliced bread. Most people look at that and say, yeah, you would say that, wouldn't you? Because that's your ad. Whereas if the news appears in the editorial or it's part of a feature piece, that's been quality controlled by the editorial team and by the editor of the publication. So the editor is validating and endorsing your story. So it's coming in from a third-party mechanism. So it has added value. And again, the CIPR, of which I'm a member, hate me saying things like this, but it is the editors that give us the value. It's their opinion that counts. But we have to remember, editors' brains are like this. Every editor and journalist brain is a toilet roll tube. Hope there's none of you in here today that are editors and journalists. My apologies, but it's true. And every concept about your brand and your organisation is a ping pong ball. So your average editor can hold 3 ping pong balls at any one time about your brand and your products and your services and your event. And this comes down to 3 actually being the magic number. De La Salle got it absolutely right. The more messages you have, the harder it is, because if you've got 4, 5, 6 things you're trying to push out and you keep pushing different messages, ping pong ball goes in one end, one falls out the other. And the more rotations of ping pong balls we have, the harder it is to fix that perception in the mind of the editor, because the editor then has to communicate that to his audience. So you want him to grasp what it is you're doing. That little bell has got to ring in the back of their head. So if you're going to start PR campaigns and you're going to start doing this, some of the things that you need to do is message consistency. Try and look at your organisation and think, what do I want to be recognised for? And research has shown that if we go along with the toilet roll tube analogy, there are 3 messages in there. In terms of recall and understanding, the primary message is the greatest. So when I say to you, Nike, everybody in this little group here will have an immediate flash in their mind that says Nike, and probably the first thing it'll pop into your mind is just do it. Because we've been conditioned by consistency of messaging that phrase, just do it, goes along with Nike, and that follows through their PR, their product placement, their advertising. Everything is synchronized. So if you're starting to look at PR and you're wanting to start using this in the industry, you start thinking about getting your primary message defined and straight and work on that, because that's 60% of recall. Then you have a secondary message and a tertiary message. So keep those 3. If you're starting to put news out, have a look at your news that's going out. Make sure it follows in those kind of ratios, because you're needing to be reinforcing that message in that way. The other thing, when you're starting to think about this and you're looking at the channels, one of the key points is identifying who is your audience. Because your audience will, understanding what your key messages are and how they dovetail to your key audience, will enable you to choose the media channels you want to talk to. An example, we talk to this industry, the events industry. Most of the people in here are potential clients for ours. There's quite a few of our clients dotted around. We talk to them through, we want them to understand how PR can help them grow their businesses. So we do things like this. We're in here talking about this, the panel sessions, we've got a little stand over there. We do that because that's our audience and we know how to talk to them. So we use things like event industry news, exhibition news, conference news, Standout magazine, Festival Insights. They're our target press because the readership of those publications are the people who may buy our services. So we've identified who they are. We also know those customers, quite a lot of them over the years, struggle with getting their messages out. They're not copywriters. They don't have the time to build relationships with those editors, those people we're talking about, advocates. We've spent 20 years doing that, so that's what we're telling those people. If you want to get your message out, come and talk to us and we'll do it that way. So when you're thinking about getting messages out there, who's your audience? Detail your audience, understand which messages fit which audience, and then it'll become self-selecting as to which channels you use to get that out. And that drops into, again, the CIPR don't particularly like this being said, but PR is a function of marketing. If you talk to PR departments, they get all fluffy about this and no, we're bigger than that, we're perception management experts. No, you're not. You're part of the marketing mix. Suck it up, princess. That's what you are. And what that means is it works well in the traditional old-fashioned marketing principle of AIDA. Not Giuseppe Verdi's brilliant musical AIDA, but Elias Elmo Lewis's genius thought that occurred to him in 1898. AIDA, the more than an opera marketing principle, which is awareness, interest, desire and action. And PR is a major tool in driving this sales and marketing process. Your news, the pushing out regular, small, medium, large pieces of news content starts to build awareness. People start to read about you and go, oh yeah, heard that name before. The pings start to happen in the back of their minds. They start to recognize you. So for example, if you run a 6-month PR campaign before you come and exhibit somewhere here, people who are coming around, if you've hit the right media channels that they're reading, will look at your brand and go, recognize that. They're the guys, didn't I see them somewhere? You then start to build interest. You've already got their attention. Now you're wanting to build the interest. So then you're in things like getting into feature placement, getting included in features. If there's a features about widgets and you're an expert in widgets, there's an opportunity for you to get involved in that and to talk to your audience through that feature. And that benefit comes from having known the editors, because you get to a point where they will talk to you because they'll recognize you as an expert. They will come to you and say, hey, I'm writing a feature about so-and-so, can you contribute to this? So it starts to become a virtuous circle. Once people realize that, they're starting to read about you in the publications, they're starting to see case studies you may put out into the press. It starts to get people looking and saying, quite fancy a bit of that for my business, that might work, or we could use one of those. And that then triggers the action, and the action is where it falls into the rest of your marketing mix. The people will then start to look for you on, they'll start to search you on search engines, they'll start to seek you out at live events. That's the action bit. How are you going to turn that interest and desire into tangible sales leads? So the PR function is about pump priming and preloading your sales funnel. Again, my apologies to the CIPR for dirtying their name with marketing. But there's far, far more to PR than just press releases that we've been talking about now. It's a wider, broader discipline. And if in your organizations you're setting up the functions for PR or you're thinking about doing it, there's a whole bunch of things that sit in that marketing mix, in that PR mix. You have news releases, feature articles. Now, feature articles fall into two categories. There's a soulless feature article or an inclusion in a feature article. I mentioned a thing about widgets. Do you want to be in with the widget manufacturers all talking about the industry? You've seen quite a few panel sessions here and on the other stages where you've got speakers from different industries talking about their view, their opinions. They are getting their content out, and in what this is a live feature essentially, but if that was then written up for a magazine, that would be a feature article talking about the subject. For other feature articles where it might be something you've done, you've got your product, your people, your investment, that a publication and an editor might want to cover in full. So it becomes a more detailed feature article, a solus position, just about you. They're the nice cherries on the cake. They come once you've built a reputation with an editor for sending them good news. This is what I was talking about, it being a virtuous circle. It's a cycle. You keep that relationship moving with them. You can then case studies. Case studies are a great way of actually demonstrating that you do what you said you did and what you told everybody in your news releases. Like, hey, we've won a contract to deliver this. How did this work? Here's the case study on this. Feed it back in. And some of the editors may be interested in talking about news that they featured previously, then showing that that piece of news we said to you, our dear readership, was valid. Here's the evidence that we weren't just spinning you a yarn, it wasn't just a sales pitch, it's real, here's the evidence. Then we flip into using more digital media, more of the stuff you see around here. Podcasts, webinars, things like this that are being broadcast, streamed, taped. You can start to put your PR messaging out through those channels. Keep it consistent, keep it regular. You then start to become an expert. You get invited to come and sit on panels and do silly stuff like this. Then that goes down to in-person. Can you speak at conferences? And again, this bolts into the PR side. If you're speaking at a conference, do you do news releases to tell people that you're speaking at that conference? Does it dovetail into your social media promotion? And on we go. It starts to snowball. The snowball effect kicks in. Then there's awards. Do you win awards? Do you sponsor awards? I would say entering awards is probably better than sponsoring awards. Sorry, Adam, don't. Hope he's not hearing that, because the Event Tech Awards are live tonight. I've probably just ruined a few sponsorship deals for him. But enter those awards. Get your name in there. Get yourself shortlisted. Don't enter an award, get shortlisted, and then stomp off in a huff because you didn't win, because your competitor did and they're worse than you and you know they are and you should have won it anyway. Keep going, keep entering, and your name starts to get known, and then people start to take it more seriously and start to look at it again and again. And it's like any aspiring actor with the Oscars. Very seldom do they win their first nomination, but they might get nominated once or twice and then win something. And it's part of the game, it's part of building that profile up. Social amplification, everything in PR, all of this where you appear, where your name might appear in the digital environment can all be amplified on social media. It's the best shouting tool available. Go and have a look where your audience live. Where do they, are they a Facebook audience? Are they a LinkedIn audience? Are they an Instagram audience? TikTok audience if you're under 11 years old. Wherever they may be, whatever the next one is that's rolling out the social media factory at the other end. Go and find them, go and find what they look at, the kind of content they consume, and share some of your PR news in with your other output. Because if somebody's on there looking for something and they see there's been a feature on you in a publication that also resonates with them, you're amplifying that message. You get a bigger reach, it's a bigger bang. You can even then start to introduce things in the digital world, CTAs, calls to action. What do they do when they've seen that? They see that piece of news. If you want to know more, click the link, there's a video of it on our website. Pull people through into other channels, connect your marketing up, use the PR to be the fuel for that. Tagging and thanking, that's something we try to do as often as possible when our clients get coverage. Thank you. You've got 10 minutes to suffer, I'll go as quick as I can. Just shout it at the back. Your tagging and thanking. Tagging people in social is really important. Thanking people is really important. If you thank an editor for a piece of coverage, it's like everything else. People like to be thanked when they've done something, and it means your next piece that you go to, the next pitch you go to with them, the next thing you want to talk to them, gives them a nice, warm, cuddly feeling that that person's a real nice person. They thank me for that, I'll do it again for them. It's part, again, of those nice things. And the last, the dirty, horrible, nasty one that nobody ever wants to think of, crisis PR. Most organisations have got a crisis plan. If the wheels fall off the wagon, we know what we do. We go over there, we do this, we do that. We've got a process in place. We find that so few people have got a plan in place to deal with what happens in the communication sphere. The wheels come off the wagon, social media kicks off, press might get involved, and a little bit of a case history from the past. We worked with a company that put 20,000 gallons of heating diesel into the River Idle in Worksop in North Nottinghamshire. We had a rollout plan for that. We were able to roll out. We managed to intercept the press. The press had already got photos of the RSPCA guy stand there holding up a dead duck. And he'd taken it from the other side of the river with our client's factory in the background with their brand name in 12-foot high letters behind him. And that went on the front of the Worksop Guardian. So everything we did then was roll out our PR plan, get hold of the Worksop Guardian. What are you going to be doing? Talking to the client. The client, right, you're going to have to do something about this. They then started to put in clean-up campaigns. So we started pushing the message about the clean-up campaign. We started getting the Worksop Guardian involved, coming and watching it, building the news. They went from villain to hero within 4 months, because what it found out eventually, and we let this information drift out very slowly, that it wasn't our client's fault, it was the delivery guy for the heating diesel, put the lever in the tank, wired it up with a piece of electrical flex, and then disappeared for a bacon butty. So when it was trying to shut itself off, it didn't, and it poured straight over the top, down the stormwater drain and out. It would have been really easy for the company to just go, no, they did it. But they didn't. They took responsibility. They solved the problem. We told everybody they were solving the problem, and that gave them a positive perception later down the line. Not many more to go. I'm getting waved at by time at the back. The Nielsen came up with a lovely little piece of stat a few months ago. They'd done some detailed research in terms of what PR content did and how effective it was, and just as a comparator to advertising, they said it was 3 times more effective at influencing the decision-making process of the people that are in your target market and your target audience. So it has an intrinsic value, and this is the kind of metrics that if you're talking to people internally in your organizations to say, why should we be doing PR? Why would we do this? It seems like an expensive puffery exercise. You can actually demonstrate things like this. You can even measure it in terms of issuing news releases and watching what happens on your Google Analytics tracking. We did this exercise with a client. We put out 4 news releases over a period of 4 weeks, and the day it hit the press, there was a spike in traffic to their website. Their SEO guys claimed it was something to do with them, but we were fairly clear that there's a correlation and causation in that, so we won the day on that one. But if that's whet your appetite, go out and have a look how you can utilize PR in your own organizations. Let's go out, let's go and feed the monster. It's there waiting for you. It just needs you to give the news. We're now going to take questions, so thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being patient and hanging around at the end of the show to come and listen. Yeah, that's us. Ready when you are.
Thank you, Paul.
Hang on.
So the first question we got in was, can I publish a news release without an agency?
No, you have to come through us. It's part of the law. It's the law. Yeah, of course you can. The only thing I would say is go and get some training, even if it's only watching some of the basic stuff the CIPR put out there in terms of how to construct a press release, how to put it together, the best way to deliver it to the journalist. I would also say it's worth making contact with that journalist first. Find out what they're interested in. Find out what it is that they're going to want to talk to their audience about, so that it's not just a sales pitch to the journalist. You're giving them something they want to communicate to their readers. Yeah.
And so for those without the luxury of an agency or a PR department, that's kind of a starting point for them.
Yeah.
In terms of releases, trying to relate what they're doing to what the interests of the journalist is.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want something to appear, I mean, the simplest test is if you want something to appear in event industry news, go and have a look what Adam's publishing on event industry news, what he thinks are worthwhile stories, and then benchmark yours against that and say, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that he'll cover, that's the level he'll do it, off we go. And you can talk to Adam, he's a reasonably nice fella. And
our stage sponsor Ingo is a method of pushing out in advocacy in social media. So I'm going to the event. Is there an element where PR crosses over with that, so that you're augmenting through people that are supporters of your brand? Your PR is being pushed out by your audience.
Yeah, yeah. If you are, again, this is how you might build up your networks, and that kind of PR works better through PR through social media. So using those channels where we're going to see you there, and people who your close customers might share that with you. Your audience may share that. It depends what market you're in and what your audience is. Certainly for some of the live events, the big festivals and concerts and things like that, you see the bands do it all the time. A band says, we're going to go and play this, and all their fans go, oh, great, look, they're going to go play that. And then they wonder why they've no tickets left.
And last question here, unless anyone wants to raise their hand. What's the best way to share print articles we've been featured in? Are aware we shouldn't take photos for copyright issues and the organisations that track this down?
Yeah, they're a fun bunch, aren't they? When you get that letter that says £6,000 copyright infringement, pay now or we're taking you to court. Yes, we've seen a few of those. Depends what you're going to take it from. If you're going to be copying anything from national print, you need to have a look at something called the NLA, Newspapers Licensing Agency. They are the police that get really sniffy if you circulate mainstream news as a photograph. They will be very protective of copyright. You can pay for distribution rights to be able to use that. If it's trade PR, if you're talking about publications within an industry, you may be able to contact the editor and say, would you mind if we publish this, if we backlink this to your story on our website and give you a big thanks and point everybody to you? Because they may see the value in a backlink from you back to them, so it may have some value to them, and they're a little bit more obliging. But I would steer clear of really upsetting the NLA and all of their membership. That tends to be the big newspapers, the big magazine printers.
Were there any more questions? I thought we might give the audience that aren't in their 40s a quick primer on who Freddie Starr was.
Yes. Freddie Starr, entertaining gentleman from that was 1986. The Freddie Starr Ate My Hamster. There's a news story that the Sun broke. Some young lady said that he put a hamster between two slices of bread and ate it. And
it was kind of the original clickbait, wasn't it?
Yeah,
you went
absolutely.
and bought that paper because, like, why would you not want to know about why Freddie Starr ate a hamster? Thank you very much. I've had a great time hosting the stage. My name's Aid Allenby. Thanks very much to Paul. Hope you have a good rest of your show.